Hey guys, welcome back to Grafting Dragon Fruit. It's Richard, and in this video today, I'm going to be answering a commonly asked question, and the question was, does cactus rust affect my dragon fruit? So, in this video, I'm going to be covering and explaining everything I know about cactus rust and to see if we can treat it and cure it so this won't happen to anyone else. So make sure you guys watch the whole video because you might be able to save your plants if this happens to you. So let's go. Let's identify cactus rust so you guys know what I'm talking about and how to even spot it if it starts happening to your dragon fruit. So this plant of mine here got the cactus rust last season, and this happens because it was very wet, it was raining a lot, and the soil wasn't drying out fast enough for it to recover. And when this happens, all of that water is actually basically suffocating the roots, and this will lower their immune system and they're more susceptible to disease like cactus rust. So how you guys gonna find out if you guys have the cactus rust is, it looks just like rust. Here's some here. You can see these little dots. That's how you're gonna identify cactus rust. So this cactus rust has already stopped spreading, but they will continue to spread if you don't treat it right away. So this one during the summertime, luckily for me, it got warm, the rain stopped, and finally I was letting the soil just dry back completely before I even watered it, because if I kept adding water into it, it would just continue to spread and help this cactus rust grow everywhere. And how I knew it stopped spreading was it started to scab up. So if you look at all of these here, they look like little scabs that have dried up over time. You can tell when it's still active is because they're gonna be really orange and they don't scab up like that, and you can just see every day it progresses and gets more and more. And what I do when I see them scab up like this is I'll just take my fingernail and I'll just start scraping just like this, and you will see them just falling right off. So I know now that these layers here are done spreading. So that's how I can tell and identify cactus rust. Does cactus rust affect my dragon fruit? So I'm gonna show you guys a really good example here. This one contracted the cactus rust. It has stopped now. And another reason or sign that tells me that it has stopped is these new growth here. You can see there is no cactus rust at all on these 4 new growth that I have here. And you can see the stalk that did capture it, it's still on there, but it's no longer continuing to spread to the new growth. So I'm very confident that it's not growing anymore and it has been controlled and stopped. And the ones that do have cactus rust also has fruits. So if you check out the fruits here, this is a new creation of mine. So I was very afraid that this one's gonna make it because of the cactus rust, but to my surprise, there is nothing wrong with the fruit. And you guys can see there's cactus rust on the branch, but they are nowhere on my fruit. So to answer that question, no, it doesn't affect your dragon fruit. As long as you stopped it and it's prevented from spreading, your fruits are gonna be okay. Now that we have identified what cactus rust is, there's another very damaging disease out there called Cactus virus X. Cactus virus X is untreatable, and once you stumble upon this disease, you're gonna want to make sure you get rid of the whole plant. So let me explain to you guys what Cactus virus X does. It starts to look like cactus rust, but you can't stop it from spreading. You'll use copper fungicide, you'll use hydrogen peroxide, and you're gonna still see that it's just gonna spread to all the new growth. And the thing that's super traumatic about Cactus virus X is it does spread to your fruit. And once it spreads to your fruit skin will start getting this fungus and rot, and the flesh will just start to melt literally off of it, and by the touch of your hand will break up the whole fruit. So when this happens, you're trying the copper fungicide and you're seeing the spread still happening, and now it's actually reaching to your fruit, you know you have Cactus virus X. When this happens, I really highly suggest you guys to get rid of the whole setup. It can be transferred through soil, and if you use the same trellis that the soil's been in, it can actually be passed on to the roots, to your new cuttings again, and it's gonna start spreading to the new plant that you put in there. So I highly recommend, if you guys see this and it's starting to spread to your branches, even the tips of the branches, for no reason, there's no hot sun, they'll turn yellow and they'll just start to look like they got sunburned, and they'll just start to break off. It is the most horrific disease to capture, and it's untreatable. So, you know, a lot of people are still trying to figure out how to even stop or prevent the Cactus virus X, but there's still no solid information out there about it. So what you're gonna wanna do is toss your soil, toss your trellis, get rid of all of the plants, and even don't even use the same container. If I could, I would burn everything or just remove it far, far away, so that way you guys don't spread it to your other healthy dragon fruits. So that's another key point right there that I want to point out to you guys. Now you're probably wondering how to treat cactus rust. And there's going to be 3 ways for you guys to choose on how to treat them. The first way is, this is going to be for all those people that don't want to use chemicals and you guys want to keep it as organic as can be, and I totally understand. The first way is to just do nothing. If you guys are in a state like mine, I live in California where we don't have a lot of rain, we don't have that high of humidity, it's pretty dry here. So once it reaches spring, summertime, because the cactus rust usually appears during wintertime, or if you live in a state, country that has the morning gloom, the dew, or fog that travels around, and that's how these diseases, cactus rust, can spread to one each other, is when the fog would pass through, they're inside the dew, and they will land on other plants. So if you guys, like again, if you're in California like me where it's dry, you just gotta make sure you let your soil dry up completely and that the soil is not wet. And once it's completely dry, you're gonna monitor the cactus rust to make sure that it's not spreading no more. And over time, once it heats up and there is, you know, warmth in the conditions, the cactus rust kind of just stops itself. If it's not that type of cactus that I've told you guys, the Cactus virus X, it will stop. It will start to scab up, and you're gonna notice that they stop spreading. And when I come out here, I can flick them with my finger and I know it has stopped. So that's the first way you can do it. And that's actually just do nothing, just monitor it a little closer, making sure your soil isn't too wet. And that's the main thing about doing nothing for this type of style, is to make sure your soil is completely dry. And I would water it very sparingly and not even do a deep watering, just enough to make sure the roots aren't completely dried out. So that is the first one. The second option is to use hydrogen peroxide. So I've heard, and myself, I've even used hydrogen peroxide because I always want to use the least invasive way to treat my dragon fruit before I start using the hardcore chemicals. So I would mix 50% hydrogen peroxide and 50% water in a spray bottle, and I'll come out here and I'll spray them every day. With hydrogen peroxide, what it is it's just water with oxygen, and that oxygen actually kills fungus, bacteria. If you ever had a scrape and you put hydrogen peroxide, you see all those bubbles popping up, that's a way of cleaning it. So you can use 50% of that every single day. But if you've noticed that it doesn't stop and the spread is still continuing, it's also okay to use 100% hydrogen peroxide. So you can go ahead, pour hydrogen peroxide into a bottle and just spray it every day. And that's totally fine. Okay, so that's the second option you can choose that's still, you know, fairly organic. And the third one is, if all fails, we gotta whip out the secret weapon, you guys. It is copper fungicide. So if you guys have copper fungicide that's aggressively spreading and you guys are seeing it a lot everywhere, I would use this for 2 to 3 days back to back, spray the whole plant. And when you guys are spraying anything, the hydrogen peroxide, the copper fungicide, you have to do it before sun comes up and give it enough time to dry on the branch before the sun hits, or sun down. You don't want to spray any of these when the sun is still beaming at your plant. What happens when you use these sprays and you spray it on the branch when the sun is up is it magnifies with the water, and it can start to actually burn your branches like a magnifying glass over your branch. So I highly recommend doing this before sun up or when sun is down, and that's the best time to do it. So I would use this once or 2 to 3 times back to back in 3 days increments, and spray it until you see that it starts to stop spreading. And I would wait a week before I do anything else. So 7 to 10 days, I would see if there's still spreading. If there is, go ahead and start spraying with this every 7 days. So you at least wait about a week before spraying again, because this is super effective and it does tend to always work. If you guys have cactus rust and not cactus virus X, it will stop all of the spreading. Okay guys, so those are my best 3 tips to control and treat cactus rust. So I hope you guys thought this was helpful. And if you guys have cactus rust out there, now you can identify which one is cactus rust and which one is cactus virus X, so you guys know exactly what to do now. All right, so I hope I answered those questions that I was commonly always asked. If I did, please hit that like button, you guys. And if you guys have any more questions, any other disease you guys want me to look into, or even any other content that you guys just want me to create in a video, leave it in the comments below and I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can. And if you guys haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so that way you guys won't miss a single thing. And I'll see you guys in the next episode of Grafting Dragon Fruit. Peace, guys.